Dr. Nirmala from The Wellness Factor. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I have been documenting my journey towards good health with my challenges with obesity and also diabetes. So today the topic that we are going to discuss is obesity or being overweight. Before we start, it's important to realize that any dietary or health related changes should be taken only after we consult with our physician or a dietary consultant. In my previous video, I had shared with you the challenges that I had faced with obesity, about being obese right from childhood. I had shared with you the fact that I was hypertensive at a young age. I was also pre-diabetic and finally went on to becoming diabetic. I had other issues like sleep apnea and also inflammation in the body, a lot of joint pains and swelling, where even day-to-day activities became a big problem. Losing weight and becoming healthy meant that I had to make a lot of changes in the way I thought about food and obviously the way I ate. Has it been easy? Well, I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's been very easy, but it's definitely been well worth the effort. I have come off the diabetes medication. I've lost weight, of course. The inflammation and joint pains have completely disappeared. In addition to that, some of my BP medication has been reduced, and I can do my daily activities without having to depend on people. What does it mean when we say a person is obese or that they're overweight? It means that the person has excessive adipose tissue in the body, meaning the fat tissue, and that they have a very high body mass index. So the weight of the person is always calculated in accordance to their height and also in accordance to their bone structure. That is why the body mass index is actually a better indicator than just looking at one's weight. There are many free BMI calculators available online. All that we need to do is feed in our age, our weight and height, and it will automatically calculate the BMI for us. There is a condition called TOFI, thin outside, fat inside. These are people who may not appear to be overweight. They may have a little bit of a protruding tummy, but actually these people have a lot of fat collection around the liver, other vital organs, and also in the blood vessels. In the long run, they are also prone to many health-related problems. So why is obesity such a big issue? Every year, millions of deaths occur due to the complications of obesity. And in addition, today we are also seeing that obesity is not just with people above the age of 45 or 50, but we are also seeing that children and adolescents are getting affected by it. What we know is that obesity is a high risk factor for cardiovascular disease, for diabetes, for hypertension, and even certain kinds of cancer. What we need to understand for now is that obesity is not just about overeating, and if a person is overeating, there's a reason for it. Obesity is very much related to the hormonal balance in our body. Hormones are very important in regulating the normal functioning of our body. One of the most important hormones we have is insulin, and along with that there are other hormones such as ghrelin and leptin and even the thyroid hormone. The interplay between these hormones is very essential when it comes to maintaining what's called equilibrium. And when a person starts putting on weight, it's because there is some problem happening in the way these hormones are functioning. There's some problem in the way our mitochondria is functioning. And what this leads to is a condition called hypometabolism or a very slow metabolism. Like I had explained, it's very difficult sometimes for people who have a weight problem to even move because they feel tired all the time or they don't feel fresh when they wake up. And all these are signs that the metabolism has been slowing down. We will look at these hormones and the interplay between them in some of the future videos. For now, I'm sure all of you want to know what needs to be done and how to get started. So let's talk about one very important thing, and If you can get this right, it's really going to jumpstart the rest of your journey towards good health. So, what's the first thing we need to do in order to overcome obesity? The first thing is to cut out sugar completely. Many people get so put off when I tell them you have to stop sugar. The next question I hear is, what about jaggery? What about raw sugar? I really don't have sugar, but I have a little honey only. The fact of the matter is that sugar, raw sugar, jaggery, honey, all of these have the same metabolic pathway as sugar in our body. And this, when it's not utilized properly and when it's not broken down properly, ultimately gets stored as fat. So how easy is it for us to stop sugar? Most people tell me we need sugar at least in our tea in the morning or in the coffee. I need sugar to wake me up in the morning. Let me tell you this, if we cut out sugar completely for about 10 to 15 days, we will realize that we don't actually rely upon it so much. We can break this habit. It's just a matter of that switch going on in our mind, and then our journey begins for real. So one of the best hacks I have is to actually reach out for something that is opposite to sugar. Reach out for something salty and crunchy. So at these times, having salted and roasted nuts at home, having cheese at home really helps. Every time you think about cheating and going to have a sweet snack, look at something salty instead. It really helps. The other thing is, every time you think of having a cookie or a donut or a piece of cake or say doodh peda, payasam, laddu, don't reach out for these things. If you're anxious for it, then look at fruit instead. Of course, if you're diabetic, I would say be careful about the amount of fruit and the kind of fruit that you eat. But once the diabetes is under control, we can consider it again. Make sure that you do not stay hungry. Staying hungry is one of the worst things that you can do to an already slow metabolism. You need to have wholesome and filling meals, and your meals have to have enough protein and fat in them and vegetables. Don't start your day by dumping sugar into your body, like having a sugary cereal. Most of the cereals, morning breakfast cereals that we have, are full of sugar. Don't do that to yourself. The other thing is that fruit juices, we think that they're healthy and full of vitamins, but actually they are not. They actually take away all the goodness of the fruit and you're left with just sugar water. It's not as good as we think it is for our body. We need to have enough sleep, because when we are sleep deprived, have you noticed that if we are sitting up too late in the night working or watching TV, our instinct is to actually go and munch on something. And usually these are comfort foods. By comfort foods, I mean junk foods, which is not really good for our body. I can't emphasize enough the need for support. We need our loved ones to support us when we embark on any lifestyle changes. Having them hold our hand through the process and telling us, here, I'm with you, don't worry about anything, it makes a lot of difference. Even as women, if we are the ones doing the cooking in the house, when there is a dietary change involved, it means we may have to look at special considerations for ourselves. And if our partners, our husband, or the rest of the family around us are not critical of what we are doing, instead they're saying, come on, go ahead, do what you need to do, it'll make our lives so much more easier. When you're doing something alone, it's very difficult. Instead, try to be part of a group. Today there are so many groups on whether Facebook or even WhatsApp where people share their experiences and their struggles with weight loss. The other thing you can do is always enroll under a coach, somebody who is going to be there with you through this whole process until you get accustomed to the changes that you need to make. Try to develop a hobby, and if you already have one, then just keep at it so that you get better and don't stay fixated on sugar. The other thing is that stay away from shows that promote desserts. All these cooking shows and competitions where the item for the day is a dessert. I don't watch those anymore. And finally, if you have decided to stay off sugar, then when you go shopping, look at the ingredients in the foods, the packaged foods that you're going to buy. If anything has glucose in it, sugar in it, any kind of syrup in it, then these are going to set you back, and it's better to be careful and stay away from them. Now, apart from losing weight, stopping sugar also has other benefits, like reducing inflammation in the body, joint pains reduce, frequency of migraines may reduce. Today, sugar is hidden in so many of the foods that we buy. It's there in so-called health drinks. It's always good to read labels. We end up giving children chocolate drinks, we end up giving adults drinks to boost their energy, and sometimes we are actually doing more harm than good. So, am I saying that it's really easy to give up sugar? No, I know that it's not. We need to understand that sugar is very addictive. It's as addictive as alcohol and even cocaine. There are enough studies that prove that. But what we need to know is that if we go at it for at least 10 to 15 days without giving in, then this becomes a habit for us. Initially, of course, stopping sugar can cause massive headaches. We could feel tired. There may be hunger pangs. We can get very moody. We have to realize that even the hunger pangs are not real hunger pangs. Like I had explained to you, sugar is a very addictive substance. So when we do try to stop it, our body is going to have a lot of reactions and we are going to crave it. So even though we feel we are hungry, we're actually not. It's just a craving. At these times, it's important for us to hydrate ourselves, drink enough water, and also have enough salt in our food so that we do not give in to these cravings. So most of my patients get very dejected when I talk to them about no sugar. The next question is, so can I never have a dessert? Of course you can have desserts once in a while as a treat, but it should not be a habit. And if you make your desserts using sugar replacements like erythritol, stevia, or even monk fruit, these substances do not actually cause an insulin spike in our body, and they don't spike up the sugar levels, and hence it's okay to have them occasionally. I have attached here the photos of some of the desserts that I have made at home, and I've also given you links of the sites from where I've got the recipes. It's in the description box. So before I sign out, I want to give a big shout out to Swati Hariharan. She has her own travelogue called Swanderlust. It's all about travel, fashion, and she does a wonderful job. So I think by now Swati knows early morning WhatsApp messages are doubts that I'm sending her, and she's been so patient with me. Thank you so much, Swati, for all the help, all the encouragement. I also wanted to add that below in the description box, I have added links to educational videos, to even journal articles. I would say that if you have the time, do go through them. It's always good to educate ourselves before we get into something. We should know what to expect. So until next time, this is Nirmala signing off. And remember, wellness begins with your plate.